Oh, there we go. Hey there. Let's get this started.
You don't listen, no, I got a story to tell about a guy named Logan. Oh, he's so swell. He's the G.I. Joe gamer. Cool and witty, dropping off those characters, heroes and villains at midnight we shout. Joe, or Cobra, talking like a Joe Team and a Cobra tie. Joe's got snake eyes, a silent ninja in black. Quick with his swords, he'll give you a heart attack. And there's two the leader, so bold, gung ho, always ready to fight and make those cameos. And we can't forget about Scarlet, the ultimate girl power. A fierce warrior, she'll make her enemies cower. Cobra's got Destro to supply the weapons. Cobra command, plots and schemes. She's ruling the world in his dreams. Zartan is never what he seems. And Baroness rocks that black leather outfit. Shoots you quick and slipped out the back of the head. Yo, Joe, Cobra, go. Logan's here to give his G.I. Joe taste. Oh, yeah. Yo, Joe, Cobra got the characters, it's a G.I. Joe thing.
All right, how you doing? I'm Logan, the G.I. Joe gamer. Getting off to a fun start. I was over at Burt's Beats and Alice and Pearl Jam watching the dance challenge. That was a lot of fun. Sorry I'm missing the ending, but we got a G.I. Joe thing to do. Tonight, what we're doing, this is Joe Takes Classics, episode 2 from the Hilt. And what we're doing is we're looking at old episodes of From the Hilt. So let's jump right into it. Tonight we're looking at episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8. And episodes 5 and 6 are really cool because they're actually my top 10 favorites of both G.I. Joe and then Cobra. So let me get this video up here presented, and we'll watch this thing if it'll present properly here. Share my screen. There we go. Cobra Commander. Let's do this now. That's not the one I'm supposed to be sharing. Okay, hey, let me go over there and fix this. I'm supposed to be sharing the G.I. Joe one, so let's do this right. Sorry, always having fun with technical difficulties. So we're gonna get this done correct, and we'll share the screen now that I got the right video up. Having some fun tonight. All right, let's do this. G.I. Joe from the Hilt, Joe Takes episode 5.
Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Unsubstantiated fantasy! Lies!
Greetings, Joe fans. I'm Christopher Hill, and today we're looking at G.I. Joe from the Hilt. We're going to start by talking about how I started collecting. I started watching the original animated series back in 1983 when it aired. It's a 5-part miniseries. the very next year, I watched Revenge of Cobra the same way. And then by about March of '85, I started collecting the comic book, if not a little sooner. And before the end of summer, I had picked up Shipwreck of the Baroness, and that started my collecting. And I'm happy to say that I have a good deal of the vintage figures and vehicles. Um, I still have most of them from my childhood. Not all of them are in the best of shape, but that is to be expected. Um, so my favorite miniseries is Revenge of Cobra, but my favorite episode is Worlds Without End. Now, as far as the comic book is concerned, I have so many favorites. Of course, you have your Silent Interlude, which was the first Silent comic, and that was incredible. Um, but to pick a favorite of the comics is not easy to do. I love the whole series. Now, naturally some issues are not as good as some of the others, but the overall storyline continued throughout the 1 to 155 issue run for Marvel, and then when he went over to IDW, he continued it all. And I don't have all of the IDW run, but I've read a good portion of it, and I've got the collected editions in the trade paperbacks up to number 12. And so when we take a look at that, we'll be talking about some of those. Take a look at it. But I managed to, if you are a Hooded Cobra Commander 788 fan, we've kind of been waiting for him to open up his Gung Ho figure. I managed to actually pick one of these up in the wild at my local Walmart. I'll be opening that near the end of the episode, at the end of this video. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to do my top 10 countdown of my favorite Joes. And we're going to use mostly the 25th anniversary figures. Some are from the, well, they're all 25th anniversary except for two. One's from the 30th anniversary Renegades line, and another is from the new Modern Retro line from that was an exclusive from Walmart. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video, and so I hope you enjoy it. These are my favorite Joes, and so we're going to be taking a look. Okay, coming in at number 10 is Stalker, the Ranger from 1982. At number 9 is Dusty from 1985, the Desert Trooper. At number 8, it's Clutch, the Vamp Driver from 1982 and 83. Stalker was also from 83, when they got the swivel arm battle grip. Coming in at number 7 is another 1983 Joe. It's the Dragonfly helicopter pilot, Wild Bill. At number 6, it's Shipwreck and Polly, the sailor and his parrot, from 1985. Also for 1985 is number 5, and that would be Flint, the warrant officer. Number 4 from 1984 is Roadblock, the heavy machine gunner. At number 3 from 1986 is Beachhead, the second Joe Ranger. This may come as a surprise, but number 2 is Snake Eyes and Timber. Now, Snake Eyes first came out in 82 and 83. Then he came out again in 85 in his most iconic version. Also came out again several years in a row later on in 89, 91, and then pretty much 93 and 94 as well. I'm sure this may come as a shock to a lot of you, but number 1 is Airtight from 1985, the Hostile Environment Trooper.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Well, that was kind of fun to do. I'm sure that my number 1 was, like I said, a shock to everybody. I don't know. I just kind of identified with Airtight as I was growing up, especially when I was 15. I had a plastic dinosaur collection, just like it said that he did in his file card. I wasn't really ever into science or chemistry or anything like that, but for some reason he just resonated with me, and I like the look of him. Now this 30th anniversary version that came out, I thought it was really good. I like there. It also came with a little air tank, which was kind of cool, that you could put in place of the backpack. Um, I like the update of the backpack that they did for him and the hose that connected, and his sweeper or snooper, I think they called it. It was weird. Actually, kind of clips back on there, and he actually came with a gun for a change. That was nice to see because he handles ordnance, and it's like, well, why shouldn't he have a gun? Plus, he has another little little technical toy, as they said on Ghostbusters. One of our little toys. Now, this version of Snake Eyes came with that really good 5-pack. Uh, I paired him up with. I think the Timber came with that too, but I could have paired him up. I generally would pick out the best Timber and the best Snake Eyes and put them together. This one came with the iconic sword. Only it had the blade was silver instead of black, and had the Arashikage symbol on there. I don't know if that's going to be able to pick up very well on the camera, but yeah, it's on both sides. That's kind of cool. And he had his iconic Uzi, and he came with a knife as well, which I thought was pretty cool for the modern figures. They did a pretty decent job with those. Now the classified series they can do so much more with than they are. Then of course we have Beachhead, all cartoon. I mean he's okay in the comic book, but definitely his attitude resonated with me and all the jokes that they made with him about him not wearing deodorant and things like that. I liked him. And I've already talked about my boy here, Flint. I do like this modern version. I'm pretty sure this is also the same one that came with that 5-pack with Snake Eyes. And I'm pretty sure also that Shipwreck and Polly came in there as well. This was one of the better versions of Shipwreck, where his pistol actually fit in the holster. I don't know why they had a problem with that. Now, Roadblock was my number 4. I missed him for some reason as I was going over these. But this is actually the Walmart retro version. This is the other one besides Airtight that isn't the modern figure from the 25th anniversary. I don't know. When you take out, he came with this this flak jacket or web gear or whatever you want to call it. And this is pretty cool, but he looks a lot better without it because it looks more like the original version. But I gave him the Retaliation Mondoose, his machine gun, and I thought it looked a lot better with him. I do have the tripod for that too, but holding it in his hand, it just looked the same. And then after Shipwreck, we actually have Wild Bill. I love the Dragonfly and Wild Bill. I don't know. I love these pistols he has. Now, you might think that I've got them in there backwards, but if you actually check out the box art and the artwork for Wild Bill, he wears them that way because that's the way Wild Bill Hickok actually wore his pistols, supposedly in history. So I kind of, they fit better that way with the figure too. I was always having a problem with them falling out, but the second I turned them around backwards, they fit perfect. Now Clutch, definitely comic book. I mean, most of these are both, but some cartoons, some comic book, but Clutch definitely from the comics. He early on had a lot of really cool scenes right from the first panel of the first issue. Really was when he was driving Hawk to see General Austin. It was pretty cool. Dusty, you can't beat the Desert Trooper. I mean, he's pretty cool. And Ho's top 10 doesn't include Stalker. I mean, I know this is Hooded Cobra Commander 78's favorite. Now he's my number 10. He made the top 10. There are so many cool Joes. It's hard to put them into a top 10. I'm going to do the same for Cobra next week when I do my Cobra from the Hilton video. I'm going to do a top 10 for Cobra. Now, let's get this Gung Ho open and check him out because I've been eager to see what this figure looks like out of the package. And So I'm gonna see how I can do this so that you can see it as well. And I know there's a piece of tape back here, so we'll see if we can peel that off real quick. Now, I probably should have done this off camera or when I had my camera moved for when I was doing the top 10, but I don't know. It's like me in perforation. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But then once you start this cheap tape that they put on here, it generally comes off pretty easy. Now, a lot of people are thinking that they made these in China. I mean, in Vietnam, but they're back making them in China again. So I don't know what the deal with that is. Put the tape over here, and we'll see what we can do here. This actually pops up. We got the useless extra little warning labels. Like I said, it's probably for legal reasons, whatever that is. Now, I want to keep this card pretty much intact, so I don't want to do too much cutting here. I wonder if I can actually doing this on camera is actually interesting and kind of fun. Oh, well, that just cut the plastic. So let's do that. Let's just cut the plastic and I'll trim it off the card a little later. See, I'm trimming the actual plastic here. And got this new pocket knife at Walmart for real cheap too, and it seems to be pretty sharp. But let's just since he's in this little plastic bubble, we'll just take him out here. Slide him right out. Set the card aside for now. So there he is, battle stand, which I don't know why all the classified series aren't coming with a battle stand. It's just weird. And Joe Berg, where's my battle stand? They're always saying when they open up, from G.I. Joe Berg, if you watch them, whenever they open up a G.I. Joe classified figure, they're always wondering where their battle stands are. Well, Joe Berg, they don't come with them. The retro line does, but definitely not the regular classified series for whatever reason. Wow, that looks a lot like the original Gung-Ho grenade launcher, man. I like that. Now, I will actually do a Gung-Ho from the hilt, but I need to pick up another vintage version of Gung-Ho. Now, Gung-Ho, man, I'll compare him to the regular classified line when I do his video. But this looks pretty cool. Let's see, he's got the double jointed. His arms move pretty good. I'm not so sure if I like this tat. I know they probably had problems getting the Marine Corps tattoo on his chest, but man, it just, Gung-Ho should have that. Let's put his dome cover on there. Gotta have our dome cover, otherwise we have the glare from the light, you know. So let's see what we got going on here. Wow, that actually looks a lot better than the regular classified version. Again, like I said, I'll compare them. Now we got his pistol here. See how that goes into his hand. Oh, nice and easy. Well, it looks kind of puny compared to Gung-Ho, don't it? But it's always good to have a nice sidearm, in case the grenades run out for the launcher. We'll slide that into the sheath there and see how easy that works. Oh yeah, not too bad. And then you can adjust this wherever you want. That's what I really like about the classified. Then we'll give him his iconic grenade launcher, but let's see if we can get his finger in the trigger. the trigger hole here. That's always fun to get the trigger slot. And I think I got it. There we go. So there we go. I think his hat needs going just a bit better. Then the backpack looks a lot like the original. Got the backpack snaps right in there. And then we'll see how well he fits on his battle stand. Oh, the pegs are actually at the back on this one. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Oh, that was a problem with the modern figures. You never really could tell whether they were in the middle, or the front, at the back. It was kind of weird. But there he is. Gung Ho, the retro Gung Ho, classified size. I think it looks pretty cool. He's got his grenades there for his grenade launcher, which is on the other classified figure for some reason. Now, there was a knife. What did I do with Mr. Knife? Here it is down here at the bottom. Let's not forget the knife. So this little bubble that I'm most probably going to throw out. But I don't know. I've been keeping all the classified stuff, but that's because they have a nice box. And then you've got the, wow, that's actually a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. Let's get it away from my hat so you can actually see the thing. And then we'll put his hand, which slides in really easy. All right. And then we'll slip it in the boot sheath. All right. And these battle stands, they're pretty cool. This is the first one I have that's actually from G.I. Joe, from Hasbro. And it's actually a lot better, thankfully, than some of those generic ones you can get. But there he is. Gung Ho. Okay. Well, that's all you got for me this week. There's his cheap 5-language file card that they give. I don't know what they're thinking with these. I mean, I know they're cost cutting and saving money and all that, but whatever. It just, the quality suffers because of it. Hope you enjoy this edition of Joe Takes and G.I. Joe from the Hilt. With that all being said, Logan out. All right, that was the 5th episode, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's going to go ahead and play the next one, but I'm going to stop it and get set up for Joe Takes number 6. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I still have Gung Ho up here on my desk. Once you open those retro figures, there's, unless you have a shelf or a special place for them, unlike the ones in the boxes, you have to, find a spot for them. Hello, Rook. Welcome. How you doing? Kind of missed you there while I was taking care of that video. So it's nice. It's definitely nice to see you. Bobra Commander. Oh, that was in the first Joe Takes classics. So if you want to check that one out, you can. Now let me see if I can get the next one set up here in the playlist. And I don't know why that's playing there. We'll go back to the playlist, and we'll go set up the next one, which is episode 6, Cobra from the Hilt. I had a really good time making Cobra from the Hilt. I actually stuck in more than a top 10 with it. So we'll see how that plays out. Let me see if I can get it shared properly. Share my screen. And that will go on, and then I'll be more present in the chat. That's for sure. All right, let's see what we can do here. We want to share the screen. We want to go full screen. See what that looks like there.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Cobra! 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 Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Cobra! Cobra! Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and it's spreading far and wide.
Greetings, I'm Christopher Hill, and welcome to our sixth installment of Joe Takes. This is Cobra from the Hilt. Today we're going to jump into our top 10 Cobras really quick, but a little note on that. I actually have 20 figures I'm going to show off in the top 10. However, Cobra cheats, or actually they just don't follow the rules. Now they say it's not cheating to them, so they can get away with it. The reason why I'm doing an actual, instead of a top 10, I'm actually doing a top 12 for Cobra, is because I have 3 characters in there. One of them is an honorable mention, which actually would make for a top 13, but that's not my number 13 character. I'll get into that a little later, but with the top 12, there's 2 in there that aren't actual Cobra characters from the main line, so they're characters that I kind of created in my own little head canon, and so I talk about that a little bit after we get back from the top 12. Here we go. We'll start with my honorable mention. This is the Cobra Infantry. I never called them Cobra Troopers. I always called my dude Cobra Soldier. My original figure kind of fell apart, so I put his head on a Cobra Officer body. And in my head canon, he eventually evolved into Big Boa. Cobra Trooper, or just Cobra the Enemy, came out in 82, and then again in 83 with a swivel arm battle grip. Big Boa came out in 1987. Coming in at number 12 is Nemesis Enforcer. Now, in the modern line, for some reason, they called him Nemesis Immortal. I prefer Nemesis Enforcer. And I thought the modern line edition of the Nemesis Immortal looked way cooler. He came out originally in 1987. Coming in at number 11 is my favorite Dreadnought, Torch. He came out in 1985. We kick off the actual top 10 with Alley Viper. He came out in 1989. I prefer the orange to the red, but this Pursuit of Cobra figure looks pretty cool. Coming in at number 9 is Wild Weasel from 1984. He'll be the first of many 1984 figures that pretty much dominate my top 10. At number 8 is another 1984 figure, Copperhead. Coming in at number 7 is the Stinger Driver, who I always called Major Stinger because on his file card it listed him as an 04, which is Officer 4, which would be a Major. Like the Cobra officers, I turned him into my own character, and eventually in my headcanon he became Neo Viper Commander. In this example, I used Neo Viper Officer because I thought this figure looked really good. Coming in at number 6 is Destro. I like the original 1983 version. I also like the Iron Grenadier look that came out in 1988. Okay, starting my top 5 is Firefly, another 1984 character. Coming in at number 4 is Cobra Officer from 1982 and 83 when he got the Swivel Arm Battle Grip. He is the last of my headcanon characters who actually, in my games, started out as the Hiss driver. And then when Cobra Commander showed up, he kind of went back to just being the Hiss driver. But when I found my Cobra Officer figure kind of filled that role and became that character that I created as the Hiss. Just to add a bit, the Cobra Officer, Larry Hama actually did a bit on his Cobra Officer as well, where he came up with the Scarface Cobra Officer, which I have an example of Scarface here, but you can't really see on camera. I'll have to show that a little later. But in my head canon, my Cobra Officer eventually became the Night Adder. Coming in at number 3 is the 1984 Baroness figure. Now, she started out in the comics in issue 1 and was also in the first animated movie. Coming in at number 2 is, of course, Zartan from 1984. Coming in at number 1, should be no surprise to anyone who watched my Cobra Commander video, is my favorite Cobra and favorite overall character in the entire G.I. Joe verse. Cobra Commander came out in 1982, kind of slash 83, was again carded in 83 and 84. And then in 84, they released the mail away Hooded Cobra Commander. So there you have it, my top 12 Cobras. Now, the Big Boa actually comes in on my list at, let's see here. I'll put them on the teeters here real quick. Big Boa comes in at 33 and as Cobra Soldier. The Stinger Driver actually comes in at number 26, and the actual Cobra Officer is 22. That's why I added a little bit extra and did those separate. Now, it's only fair if I do a bit here and tell you my number 12 and number 11 Joes, and my number coming in at number 12 for G.I. Joe was Hawk, and number 11 is Lady J. Now with that all done, let's talk Cobra. In the comics, Cobra pretty much started out with just a bunch of Cobra Troopers, Cobra Commander, and the Baroness. Like I said, she was around from issue 1. Larry Hama always wrote an interesting storyline with Cobra. Never making them seem the buffoons they are in the cartoon or the cowards. Now, sometimes, yeah, but for the most part, Cobra was a sinister and formidable adversary for G.I. Joe. Now, as far as the animated series is concerned, it was just fun to see them be the unwitting jokes for us. Cobra Commander, most all the time, was considered a coward and a world-class buffoon, as militarily speaking, as Destro put it in the G.I. Joe animated movie. But we talked about that in my Cobra Commander video. Now, as far as Cobra is concerned, and my favorite Cobra plot that they ever put out, I mean, we could talk Mass Device, we could talk Weather Dominator. None of them seem to be as interesting as the episode where there was no Cobra plot, which was Viper's Coming, which is a very cool episode where G.I. Joe keeps getting phone calls from the Viper, and Cobra keeps getting thwarted by the information they're getting from the Viper. And near the end, even Destro's trying to figure out who the Viper is, beating up Tomax and Zaymon and Major Blood. Cobra Commander's not even in that episode, if I remember correctly. And it was a bunch of B-list Joes, and it seemed to be just a lot of fun. But Cobra seems to always do their best when G.I. Joe just has no clue as to what's going on. But it's always a Cobra that seems to mess up the Cobra planet. I mean, like with Pyramid of Darkness, it was Tomex and Zama. With the Weather Dominator, it was Zartan. With the Mass Device, it was Destro. It's hard to say, exactly where they were going with it. And then when they did the whole Serpentor bit, the Cobra plots really kind of changed, and it was a bit better writing from the second season. But the episodes of the first season were just more fun. I thought, and Cobra made for a better villain in the first season. Serpentor just never, I don't know, he's never resonated with me as the Cobra leader. I mean, yeah, he was intimidating. It was a cool idea, but Serpentor was a lot more interesting in the comic book, right up to the point where he got an arrow in his head. But I always had fun with Cobra in the cartoon and the comics. As far as the figures are concerned, Cobra Commander, of course. I mean, I've already showed off my 83 Cobra helmet and Cobra Commander, and talked about my hooded Cobra Commander. I like these modern figures. I mostly use the modern figures for the top 12. This is one of the better examples of the helmeted Cobra Commander that they brought out. And then I really like this version of the hooded Cobra Commander. It came with the snake staff and a sword. It was kind of weird because they gave him the Crimson Guard legs, so he has like the spot for the Crimson Guard shotgun, and the pistol they gave him doesn't fit in there. I don't know why it cost cutting measures, I'm sure. Now, I did a whole video on Zartan, but he's still pretty cool. And this modern example is the one that came with the mini chameleon that I boxed, as it were, in the crate. And this version of the Baroness, I really like this one. It seemed like in the modern line they had this weird body design especially for females. I mean, she looks almost there, but this one was okay, and they kind of took the movie figure and put the older head on it. And I like this one better than the movie figure because it makes the Baroness look like the Baroness. When I got into talking about my Cobra officer, like I said, started out as the Hiss driver. But once I found my original Cobra officer and I had my Cobra Commander from the mail away, my hooded Cobra Commander, Cobra officer was delegated to, be the Cobra troop leader. I never had a lot of Cobra troop builders, not really until I got started doing the Techno Vipers. But Cobra officer he was one of my favorite Cobras. Even in the comics, they had a bit on him. I kind of mentioned Scarface from the comics. And I don't know if you can see his scars. I mean, it looks really blurry to me, so I don't know if that's coming to the camera. Let me back it up and get my hat out of the way. I don't know. But this is the only Scarface Cobra officer they brought out, and it was in the modern line. So there he is. And in the Rise of Cobra movie, he was never in the movie, but this figure for Night Adder, I always liked that because I always imagined my Cobra officer to be African American, and this Night Adder figure just seemed to fit perfectly. And to come with this nasty pit bull, I'm not a dog guy, so I like this dog, and I named mine I named him Brutus, but they didn't give him a name on the file card, so like with Freedom, originally we didn't know what the Spirit's Eagle's name was, but we give them our own names if we want to. Now, my number 4, Firefly. Oh gosh, Firefly I thought was one of the more interesting Cobras. Sorry about that. Firefly, just to me, he was a lot more interesting than a lot of the other Cobras. Mysterious, and it was weird how in the cartoon he I always wanted to cover up his face, especially in Oda Cobra. But he's wearing a mask. It's like we already know you're Firefly, but we don't know who you are under the mask. He was dressed up as a mummy in that. Excuse me. Now Destro. Now the original version of Destro, I always imagined like for whatever reason, because of the way the collar was and the little necklace around his neck and with the little medallion on it, I kind of pictured him in a discotheque, but even though disco was dying at the time, but for some reason, I just that version of Destro just it hit, and I always wondered why they didn't give Destro a Scottish accent in the cartoon, but I can't remember the guy who did the name. I can't remember the name of the guy who did the voice for Destro in the cartoon, but he did a really good job. And when I'll look it up for when I do my Destro video. But when he became the leader of the Grenadiers, the only thing I really didn't like about these figures was the cape. It was all off to the side, and it seemed half a cape. The same with the new Cobra Commander. Go cape or no cape. And for Destro, it's got to be for show. To maybe it's a regal look or something. Who knows? We look at my Stinger driver. Now, my Stinger driver became for a while my go-to Cobra officer as well. But I had both my Cobra officer and my Stinger driver at the same time, so they became like really good buddies. Them and the Cobra soldier, and they stuck together in Cobra, and they were always loyal to Cobra Commander in my games. And I just really resonated with the Stinger driver, probably because he looked like Cobra officer. I don't know, and I had him. I never had my version of the Stinger I traded for, and I never even had the missiles on the back or all. It was just the Jeep. So I always used it to pull the asp. Now this Neo Viper officer, like I said, I eventually he became Stinger, Major Stinger in my game became Neo Viper Commander. But when the Rise of Cobra movie came out, they brought out these Cobra officers. They called them Neo Viper officers, but then the Mars Trooper officer was. This is pretty much the same figure. I mean, this particular Neo Viper officer, I thought just with the silver and black, I thought it was really cool. The gray skull mask. Those Neo Vipers and even the Viper Commandos in the Rise of Cobra line look pretty good. Now, Copperhead. Like I said, I used all the modern figures for this, and eventually, when they have a classified version, like with Copperhead, they've got one coming out. I will give them their own video and show off my vintage version. I actually do have the vintage version of Copperhead. Now, Copperhead, I always had so much fun with him. He was rarely in the cartoon, and I don't think he was ever in the comic until the IDW line. They always use the water moccasin, but not Copperhead. It was weird. And he was an interesting character, and I don't know why they didn't use him more often. Wild Weasel, they always pit up against Ace. For me, though, it was always Wild Weasel versus Wild Bill, which to me was Wild versus Wild. But yeah, the Router really was never a match for the Sky Striker or the Conquest. And I got a Wild Weasel figure right away, and I never had the Rattler until the modern line, the 25th anniversary. So I always had I got a Fire Bat, but I never had the Terradrome. So my Wild Weasel was always in my Fire Bat, and then I got the Python Conquest, which is I had my Cobra Officer pilot that a lot, but also Wild Weasel. And then I got the Night Raven. I had the Night Raven, and he used to pilot that with the Strato Viper because it was a 2-seater. So I always had Wild Weasel and the Strato Viper and the Night Raven. Now Alley Viper. Now this pursuit of Cobra, excuse me, this pursuit of Cobra Alley Viper is really cool. Like I said, I prefer the orange. They in the vintage line they had when they redid it, They started it out with yellow, but then they put it in orange. It looked better as orange, but a lot of people like the yellow and black. To each his own, I guess. But this red and black, and you can't beat this triangular shield. It's really cool. Alley Vipers have always been a lot of fun. One of my favorites. Like I said, Torch is my favorite Dreadnought. With my headcanon figures, I kind of had to put in the extra two because I wanted to go all official because of my little OCD problem. I don't know why, but yeah, Torch. Ripper was cool, but I never really thought the Mohawk fit him as a biker. I mean, it looked cool on the figure, but and Buzzer, a lot of people like Buzzer, but I thought Buzzer wasn't that interesting. I thought he was kind of a weird character. According to his file card, he went from a bright college student to studying the dreadnought phenomena and then or the motorcycle biker phenomena, and then he became one of them. That's fine, but why pretend like you can't read and stuff? In the cartoon, they said he couldn't read. He was in college. He could read, but whatever. Now, Nemesis Enforcer. Best part of the G.I. Joe movie, I think, besides Roadblock, was Nemesis Enforcer. Like I said, I don't know why in the modern line they called him Nemesis Immortal. But you got to admit the way they did the wings in the modern line and the elbow blades, they just hit it out of the park with this figure. I would love to see this figure in the classified version. I don't really care about Globulus. A Royal Guard was neat. Pythona would be cool, but they only brought out one Pythona figure ever, and of course it was a convention exclusive, so I never got that. My Cobra Soldier. I know this is my favorite version of the Cobra Trooper they brought out in the modern line. The way they painted it and everything. So that's why I used it for my example for my Cobra Soldier. Maybe one day I'll do a video on my headcanon characters. I only have one Joe, but I do have the 3 Cobras. Now, I don't have a modern example of Big Boa, so I got a vintage figure snuck in here. But I like this Big Boa figure. And when I pulled him out, naturally I had to replace the O-ring. But his knees are like, I got to do a knee repair on him. But he's almost like, when I put the O-ring in him, he's like almost new. It feels like it just hardly moves. And I cleaned him up really good using baby wipes. It's a father's secret to use baby wipes on pretty much everything. Don't let anybody else know. They're really cheap and they work, especially for vehicles. Okay, so that's my top 12 Cobras and my honorable mention. Also, I really like talking about Cobra. I could probably talk about Cobra all day, but this video doesn't need to be that long. And next week, I'm working on my next Joe Takes, and I'm actually going back to the single characters. I'm going to do other videos about groups. Like I'm going to definitely do a Dreadnoks video, and I'm definitely going to do Python Patrol. I mentioned the Cobra ones first because this is the Cobra video, but eventually I'll do a Tiger Force, a Night Force, and things like that. I don't really have a lot of the Night Force, but I have almost all of the Tiger Force, at least the vintage versions. I don't know exactly what condition they're in. I'll have to go over them, but we'll sign off with Cobra Commander and Cobra. So with that all being said, Logan out. Okay, that took some doing. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is the real Logan because I have issues. If you can see that. Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I do have something special for you that I made this week just for this particular Joe Takes Classics. I'm going to play that right now, and then after that, I'm going to play the other two, Dusty from the Hilt and Baroness from the Hilt. So let's check out this video. But we're going to say hi to Judy first. Hi, Judy. How you doing? Hi to everybody in the chat, Bert, Seth, and Kate. It's good to see everybody. All right, let me bring this video up for you, so it should be fun. Here you go.
The ultimate red versus blue, but it sure isn't anything new. Cobra broke out onto the scene. G.I. Joe reported for duty unseen. Yo, Joe is the Joe's battle cry. Red is their choice of lasers to fry. Pulling up in the APC. Choking down all enemies they can see. Cobra, they're in shops, blue is the gleam in their beams, laying waste with their his tanks, cutting right through our dreams. Side, Yo, Joe, Cobra, red or blue, it's up to you. Cobra is out there, slithering around in the dark. But G.I. Joe is there. The show Cobra may have the spark. It's the side. Yo, Joe.
Well, I hope you like that. That was my G.I. Joe or Cobra. It's up to you video. That'll be out later on tonight on my channel, so you can watch it it's better if you want to. Let me go over to my Joe Takes Classics, which is probably still running. And I will get I'll get the other one started here. Yeah, the next one up is yeah, I wanted to start the wrong one and I got a gnat. Okay, so there we go. I wanted to take a look at Dusty right away because he's one of my favorites. So let me get this one going and I'll share it. Pause it right now. And of course I have to. This technology, I'm so with it, but I'm trying here. All right, let me see what that looks like. Okay, let me get out of here and I'll put it up for you. Thanks, guys.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Greetings. I'm Christopher Hilt, codename Logan, and welcome to Joe Takes number 7. Today on Joe Takes, we're talking about Dusty. Dusty's my ninth favorite, and just happens to be number 49 in the classified series. I thought that was interesting. Probably not interesting to anybody else but me, but that's where we're at today. So we're just going to jump right in, and first of all, we're going to check out the vintage Dusty figure. Now, Dusty, as we all know, came with this unique Havelock on the back of his helmet. And a Havelock is like a little protective skirt on the back that protects from the sun and from sand and all sorts of things. but they have them for jungle use and for desert, probably for all terrains. But I've really only seen them use it for the desert or in the jungle. Uh, but of the Joes, the only other character who ever used a Havelock, if I recall correctly, is Flint, and that was as the Desert Paratrooper. Now I have that figure, but this is Dusty's video, so uh, perhaps in a different video I'll look at some environment troopers or something. Maybe I'll do a video about that. That sounds pretty cool. But today we're looking at Dusty. Now Dusty came out in 1985, in the fourth wave, as they call it nowadays. We never called them waves back in the 80s. That's a, as far as I know, a newer term for it. I mean, that may be something that the toy companies called it, but we never did. It was just that year's that year's team of Joes. But Dusty, it just, this figure right here, I dropped the backpack, so we'll put that down. But yeah, we'll do a little comparison on the backpacks here in a minute, because it's an interesting comparison between it and the classified figure. But Dusty had these little identification tabs on his shirt. Now in the cartoon, and on the one side it said G.I. Joe, on the other side it said Rudat. Now, but the action figure, they're just kind of blank, and you fill in with your imagination. Yeah, it was Ronald W. Rudat, if I remember correctly. Like near the end of the video, I will have the final card come up, but so you can pause and check that out. And his gun was also pretty iconic, and I don't think it was used by any other Joe but Dusty. And so when they did the classified update, that I did like the way they made it look similar. We'll check that out in a minute when I get to the classified figure. But in '91, Dusty got a new figure. Originally, he was listed as an E4 specialist or corporal, the G.I. Joe team. He was their desert trooper, so he was their desert specialist. But in '91, he got this figure as an update. Now, I used to have the 1988 version, Tiger Force, which just was a repainted version of the original. I used to add two of them at one point, but I pretty much just used them for parts and other things because I already had I mean, how do you top this Dusty right here? I mean, this was one of the coolest looking figures. I was excited when I bought this figure in the store, and I don't know. This Dusty figure, excuse me, is to me one of the best figures they ever made, really. And hats off to the design team, and Ron Rudat, I think, is the guy who designed Dusty, and even the artwork on the card was incredible. The '91 figure, I actually liked. I mean, it had its issues. I mean, why the bright orange hair and eyeballs? I mean, they could have done the eyeballs black. They could have done the hair brown or even black, and we wouldn't even have noticed. But I definitely noticed the bright orange hair that they put on this figure. It's like, I just don't get it. I do like the beret. That makes him a Special Forces trooper, you know. But we all know that Dusty's a Special Forces guy. And we'll take note of that big backpack he comes with, because that's going to be important later. He came with a pistol, and his gun. I never even realized it, but as a kid, the significance of the sliding stock. Now, as an adult, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good for a kid's toy. I mean, they put that detail in there. The stock slides up and fits in the arm really well. I thought this was a well put together figure. I'll talk a bit more about his appearances in the Neat cartoon and his appearances in the Sunbow cartoon. But what was unique about this Dusty is he came with a coyote, and Sandstorm is just a little cool addition. It's like, Yeah, sure, he's got a wild coyote, but Snake Eyes has a wolf, so wolf coyote. I think a coyote would be easier to deal with than they're only dangerous in packs, if I recall correctly. But that takes us to the classified figure. Uh, we're going to look at the box first here. Now, I showed this off a little bit in my Fridays from the Hilt video as preparation for this video here. Now, we know that Dusty is number 49 in the series, like I said. And that's on the top as well. This box art, I really like this box art. It's pretty good. I mean, from some of the other classified series box art, this one just is intense. And I actually will have this as a full page near the end of the video. That's how much I enjoyed it. But the back of the box was different. I mean, I know that he probably wasn't the first one to have the back, but I think this is the first one I'm taking a look at in my Joe takes that has this box art. Now, the one I'm just curious as to why they didn't include for the Joes was Beachhead, but maybe it's because he was a Target exclusive, or in Toys R Us and in other countries. I don't know how that worked, but here in the United States, it was strictly Target or online, and I ended up acquiring my Beachhead on Amazon. So we can set that aside, and we'll jump in and take a look at the figure. Now, the classified Dusty, a lot of people, some people like it, some people don't like it. I think it's a pretty good representation of the original figure. I mean, right down to the colors, really what he's missing, he's got a little bit of shading on his face, but the original Dusty had all this neat camo pattern even on his face. I think that was the first figure they actually gave face paint to. I'm not 100% sure about that, but the first one I got, that's for sure. Now, like I said, on this gun, they did a good job of recreating that. Now, I lost the bipod of that probably the first week I had Dusty. I wasn't aware of its significance, as a young guy. But the bipod on this, I don't think is going to be easy to lose. And it's a nice little stand, so you can lay down and target foes. And this classified figure does pose really well. Now, what I was talking about with the backpacks is Dusty's original backpack doesn't. This classified one doesn't look anything like the original backpack, which is okay. I mean, it's a nice little update, but it actually looks more like the 91 backpack. I mean, it doesn't look exact, but it's got the bedroll at the bottom. It's got the canteens, and it looks more similar to this version than the original. Now, whether I was an homage or they just wanted to change it up, I don't know, but it fits this figure. Now, the thing I wanted to mention was a lot of people say that the helmet doesn't really fit on Dusty. Now, mine, look, as you can see, it's on there pretty secure, and it doesn't fall. I mean, a lot of people say it's loose. There is a trick for that, and a lot of reviewers have. I even saw one that helped me out. I was from the get-go leaving the smaller goggles underneath the helmet. But one of the YouTubers, and I can't remember which one it was, and I apologize for that, but they showed me the trick that when you turn it around, and so that it basically is like a mini headband, and you can't even see it under the helmet there, and it holds it in securely, and then you got the goggles on the outside, so that you can display Dusty without the helmet with goggles if you want to. Which is kind of cool because the smaller goggles, you can turn them back around and they go over his face. So that way you can have the goggles on the figure. And so everything he's carrying is on the figure. And I really like that. I'm not alone in that, I'm sure. But then you got the knife in the boot. Now, on the original Dusty, the knife in the boot was on the left side instead of on the right side. On the new one, But I guess they figured it made more sense that it was on the same side that his right hand was. I don't know, but it looks like a really good representation. And then they got the straps that match the backpack pretty well, which a lot of I know HCC 788 complains about when they don't have the straps that go on the figure and then around the back to make it look like he's actually wearing a backpack. That never bothered me. Backpacks going into nowhere. Maybe it's Velcro. I don't care. I always had fun with it anyway. Once you get playing, I used to have a big old box full of backpacks, and I've been trying to go through all my old figures and get them all situated to each figure as an adult and a collector. But uh, it doesn't matter when you're a kid. I had a gun pile and I had a backpack pile, and that was all you needed, right? Well, now I have them all separated, and I've been sorting them, and I've got a bag for rifles, and a bag for pistols, and a bag for cutting weapons and handheld melee weapons. However that works, whatever you call that in the military sense. It's a combat knife, yes. It's not a dagger; it's a combat knife. I really like this figure. It's a nice update and an homage to the original. And the face sculpt is pretty good. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have anything to complain about this figure. I mean, I don't like to really dwell on the negatives anyway. I like to dwell on the positives, and this figure has a lot of positives. So that's where we're at with that. Now, as far as who Dusty is, like I had mentioned, he was a E4 specialist. I don't necessarily know that he was a corporal, but he always seemed to try to fill that leadership role. So maybe he was a corporal and not just a specialist. And then later on, he got the promotion to sergeant. So who knows on that front? But some of my, favorite appearances of him in the comic book, he didn't really have a lot of page frame time. In his first appearance with Mainframe, they had a really cool mission where they were trying to get some computer chips in some silo in one of the imaginary desert countries that Larry Hama came up with. None of that really mattered. It was all just fun, so long as they had a mission and they were heading out and they were doing their thing. And there was a young boy who just was idolizing Dusty because he was a real soldier. And that whole story arc came around full circle, and Mainframe turned out to be a total badass soldier as well, even though the kid didn't think so. But both those Joes made an impression on that kid. He later on he had his own story arc with Destro and stuff in the comics, and that was really cool. As far as the Sunbow cartoon, Dusty was in a lot of episodes, but he only really starred in like 2. Unless you count Satellite Down, I don't. That really was more of a Spirit episode. I consider that Spirit's main episode. A lot of people will go right to the Traitor, the 2-part episode, which was really good, where Dusty actually was put in a situation where he technically joined Cobra for a little while. It was even put on trial, and it was pretty cool. However, my favorite episode of Dusty was where he was actually paired up with Footloose, and the two of them had to bail out over the desert and were trapped in the desert for a while because the C-130 was too full, and Wild Bill said they needed to get rid of a few extra pounds, so they were like, "Oh, we're the few pounds," and the two of them jumped out over the desert. The name of the episode was Hearts and Cannons, and the dynamic between the two, Dusty and Footloose, was really good. I liked the back and forth between them, how they were vying for the affection of the girl they rescued, who turned out to be this brilliant scientist. And I'm not going to spoil the episode for you because it's one of my favorites. If I were to make a top 10 of my favorite Sunbow episodes, that would be right in there. Now, when Dusty went over to the Sunbow line, he was in he was in a few of those episodes, but they really weren't character driven. And it's hard to say, but it was nice to see him with Sandstorm in the Deke cartoon. So I said Sunbow, I meant Deke, but yeah, when they switched over to the other company to make the animation, the Deke episodes, as they say, I like a lot of those episodes. It's underrated, I think, but in a sense, but also there are some stinkers in that one. Especially in the second season. The first season was better, but there are some gems in that second season too. They didn't do all bad. So as far as Dusty's concerned, in the command structure of GI Joe or whatever, he really doesn't have a lot of command roles. Been in a lot of. He was in a lot of the special missions, and I like that. It was nice to see him on a team in special missions or working as command at quarters or something like that, watch commander duties. And so it was clear that Dusty, even in the comics, was working towards an NCO position. So that was kind of cool. Pyramid of Darkness, my first mission, and I already got command duties, So Dusty seemed like he was always working for that leadership role, and that's kind of cool. But I always put him in for me, he's on my Fire Team Bravo, and his buddies are Bazooka and Airtight and Barbecue. That's my Fire Team Alpha. But yeah, with things right now set up, we don't have a classified Airtight yet, so. If I ever do any more skits, I have actually scripted one, and I might do in the future. Lady J kind of takes that place, and Beachheads is like the Bravo leader, which in the skit in the Cobra Commander from the Hilt episode, if you want to check that out, Dusty's mentioned to that, and he's mentioned with Barbecue and Bazooka, along with Airtight as being members of Fire Team Bravo. Okay. Other than that, I think we've covered everything about Dusty that I really want to say. And I do have fond memories of the character, and as I said, he's in my top 10. So I hope you enjoy this episode of Joe Takes. Logan out. Yeah, I hadn't started doing the Joe Takes yet until the very next episode with the Baroness, but I was putting up the file cards, and that was pretty cool. So where it says Tador right there, Ronald W. Tador. And yeah, he was promoted to sergeant here, so he ended up with that sergeant position at some point. So that was pretty cool, and I love the artwork. And I'm glad I was able to always kind of put that towards the end, at least a little bit of it. So let me stop sharing this, and I'm going to go turn it off over here and get set up for the Baroness episode. Like I said, if I don't have that footage of on Joe Takes number 8 with the Baroness, I will play it after this because I still have that, I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure that I get this done right. And I'll share this up real quick. Hopefully we'll enjoy this one with the Baroness. Baroness is definitely one of my favorite Cobras for sure. Let's make sure we get this started at the beginning. And we'll full screen it and click the expand that platter. All right, hope you enjoy. Greetings. I'm Christopher Logan Hilt, and today on Joe Takes, we're taking a look at the Baroness. We'll start right away with her figure. I do have a vintage Baroness. She was technically my second Joe in my collection. Her and Shipwreck I got at the same time. I don't know, maybe she could be the first, but like I said, all right, in other videos, I already had a Cobra Trooper and a Cobra Officer, but I didn't even know what they are when I originally bought them. I didn't really realize I had them until about 6 months after I started actually collecting. But my Baroness figure is in really rough shape. I tried to slip a new O-ring in here, but the screw in her back is rusted out and stripped. So in order to fix her, I'm going to have to drill that out and do a bunch of repair work. That may or may not work on such an old figure. She has stress marks on her leg, and I don't even know if that's coming on the video, but I think I'm just going to leave her as is and pick up a new Baroness figure. But I do have another vintage example, technically. In 97, they brought out a Cobra Command 3-pack, and I got the Baroness in that. And this Baroness figure is really nice. It had a lot of paint details where the original didn't. I do like the black better, but this blue figure was kind of nice. Now, this came in that pack that in the first few, they actually had what they call the Pimp Daddy Destro with the leopard print, but I didn't get that one. I got the one that they released later. And it had that weird looking armored Cobra Commander, which isn't a bad figure, but so I have those. Now, in this pack, she only came with her rifle. Now, originally, the original Baroness came with not just her rifle, but this really cool Cobra backpack. I don't know. Maybe my hat will actually come in handy today. And for some reason, I was looking through my old stuff, and I have a second one, but I think it's from a newer figure that came with like maybe from the early 2000s or something. And I definitely had the Cobra pack, Cobra accessory weapons pack. So I have that backpack. Now, she, in the 25th anniversary line, I got that 5-pack with the Baroness and Cobra Commander and Storm Shadow Destro, and it was kind of weird, but the Stinger Driver, I actually got 2 of those. But I opened them up because I wanted the extra Stinger Driver for whatever reason. But this Baroness, when it came out, this was an homage to the original, which is actually closer to this figure, ironically enough. But it's in a lighter blue, sort of like she looked like in the Menace of the Mass Device in her appearance, and that, and in issue 1 of G.I. Joe, this right here. But they also came out with the Baroness in the retro line, and these are the 2 carded examples I have. Let's get the glare off that. I thought this was a really well done figure. I like this one. I do have one out, but I've moved stuff around, and I didn't have access to my Baroness right now. So my retro figures are, I need to reorganize them and put them in their own bag. But the movie figure Baroness came out, and she's pretty good. The only issue I have with this Baroness figure is her extremely long, let's get it, neck. But they kind of covered it up with like a black choker collar. That looks okay. This box art though is really decent, and she looks pretty good. It looks very close to the actress who played her in the Snake Eyes movie, which a lot of people hate on that movie, but it was okay. I thought it was a Storm Shadow movie, really, not a Snake Eyes movie, but that made her number 19 in the series. But that takes us to the classified, and I ended up getting one of these when they finally Target re-released them, and the box art on this was just really dynamic. And of course, if you've seen if you're checking the video out, you've seen the thumbnail, and she's on I've got the box art on that. I actually really like this big old box, and the Baroness came with this massive bike, this motorcycle. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, that looks like a cheap little hollow piece of plastic. But once I got it in hand, it's actually pretty hefty. I like these guns that she can actually use in her hands or off the bike. The handlebars actually move, and it actually moves the front wheel, which is pretty cool. I'm glad they did that. The details on this bike aren't bad. And at first glance, it looks cool. and then but it looks hollow, but it's not. It's actually a really solid. It's a really solid piece of plastic, and it's a really good hefty toy. Uh, but for us adult collectors, what's important is that it's not a cheap hollow thing, and it wasn't that. It was actually pretty well done. I liked the fact that this windshield moves and adjusts a little bit to the character. So if she's laying down, she can actually use it for cover. I liked a lot of things about this bike. I was surprised because I really didn't think I was more interested in just getting the Baroness. Now, I liked the fact that she came with this helmet. And at first, I was like, well, why? I mean, why didn't they just put a helmet on her and make it so it fit over her head? But the way her head is designed on this classified figure, it's kind of a homage to the vintage figure. It's kind of thick plastic, and it's form fitting to her head. So putting a helmet on her head wouldn't have been all that practical. So the idea of putting a separate head was kind of neat. Also, if a collector wanted to, they could actually army build the Baroness and the coil cycle and have the Baroness with like an entourage or a bunch of bodyguards and have a bunch of female Cobra troopers wearing just these helmets. And that would be pretty cool, but I haven't seen anybody doing that. I mean, there's probably somebody who did it, but I haven't seen it. Now, she came with some interesting accessories. This stake pistol, I'm actually thinking more of it like it's a drone, and she can send it off to attack, or she could use it handheld like I've got here, and how it shows on the box art. She's got these two golden pistols that fit in these holsters on the back, which is pretty cool. I like the way this belt is right here with the Cobra symbol. And then the Cobra symbol on her chest definitely is an homage to the original Baroness. And I do like the leather look to this figure. This Cobra dagger, it's kind of small. I dropped it, of course, with my big old fingers. But the handle of it has a little Cobra snake head. And I thought that was kind of neat. When you put it back in, you got to make sure it's going the right way. You would think that the snake head would be the other way, but it kind of goes in. To me, it's kind of backwards, but maybe it's because I'm left-handed. As far as the Baroness and where she fits in the Cobra hierarchy, I kind of see that her as most of the time kind of being the second in command, whether she's just with Cobra Commander. She never really was second in command with Serpentor. That kind of fell to Dr. Mindbender. Well, he kind of created Serpentor, so Serpentor, I think in a lot of ways, felt almost like Dr. Mindbender was his father. I don't know. They had kind of a weird dynamic because Serpentor was definitely lorded it over him. But one of the coolest comic books was the Cobra Civil War. And this is one of my favorite comics, especially the cover, where the Baroness is all trussed up on a HISS tank. And this comic, I love the scene where Hawk was asking if somebody submitted a complaint to Serpentor about his treatment of prisoners, and Cutter said, I'm pretty sure it was Cutter, who said submitted and ignored. I thought that was really cool. Larry Hama is an exceptional writer, and I really love his original run on G.I. Joe. I like the IDW stuff too. It's pretty good, but I don't really have any memorable Baroness moments in the IDW series like I did in the original. I mean, there were a lot, especially with the Snake Eyes Origin series in the 90s, which naturally I had sold some of that because it happens sometimes in life where you have to sell some things, but I wouldn't mind trying to get some of that back, but I originally got it when it came out. I had a comic subscription, and it was a lot of fun that run with the Baroness versus Snake Eyes, really. in the comic book, I mean, in the comic book, I really enjoy the Baroness, but in the Sunbow series, um, she was definitely interesting. She was kind of their Mission Impossible character, always having a different disguise each episode that she was in for the most part. Uh, it, and ironically enough, her and Lady J used to disguise themselves as each other in the cartoon all the time. As far as my favorite Baroness episode, I actually think that's in the second season, and that would have been to me Million Dollar Medic, where she kind of took over for Tomax and Zaymont and went after Lifeline and Brie Van Lark, the girl that he was that was trying to date him, and that was a really interesting episode. Um, I really like the arc with the Baroness in the Operation Dragonfire when it went over to the Deke series, where she brought Cobra Commander back, and there was a whole bit where Destro dumped her for Zorana. It was kind of weird. Clearly, the writers of that didn't really know the Destro character very well, but it was still interesting and fun. And the way I see that is in the Devil's Due or Image series. For a while there, Destro was actually Destro's son, and so I'm thinking that Destro, he was pretending to be Destro, and the Baroness didn't know, and that's how he got around with her figuring it out that he was him. And then by the end of that, Destro was back, and it was really him and not his son. I don't know. It's fun to speculate about stuff like that. Um, the Baroness, though, in the Cobra hierarchy, like I said, I see her as second in command. And during the Civil War, she was actually second in command to the imposter Cobra Commander, Fred the Seventh, the Crimson Guard who had shot Cobra Commander. And that was an interesting dynamic between the two of them throughout that whole saga, where they were kind of a couple, but they weren't. They really didn't like each other, but yet they liked the power and the position that each other gave themselves. But yeah, the Baroness, she really was able to have some influence in both the comics and in the cartoon. Right from the get-go, even in the first issue of G.I. Joe, the Baroness was right there with Cobra Commander and his troops. It was Baroness and Cobra Commander. That was Cobra originally. Destro and all them didn't come along till later in the comics. And then now in the cartoon, Destro and Major Blood were right there. A lot of people see Major Blood as the original go-to Cobra troop leader, but I prefer the Baroness. She was definitely more interesting and more fun. I had Major Blood, as a kid, but Baroness, I guess probably because she was my real first Cobra character and not a trooper. But the Baroness is to me a lot of fun, and I enjoy this classified figure a lot. A lot of people like it, and they don't really care for the movie figure. But it wasn't a bad figure. I like the two knives that she came with, and her rifle. At least she came with a rifle. I mean, I know that the Coil Cycle has the two rifles, the one on either side that she could Baroness could take off and use, but it really wasn't the same as her iconic rifle from back in the day. I mean, they could have easily done a rifle like this. Now I know that the retro Baroness is out, but I don't know if she comes with a rifle like this. I think she just comes with like the two pistols and the knife, like she did on this. But I haven't really checked that out. I've looked at it a little bit, and I noticed that the glasses come off, but there's like in one side or the other, there's a slot for where her glasses slide in, and it looks kind of bad. So you'd leave the glasses on all the time. So what would be the point of taking them off if when you take them off, it looks like an incomplete figure. I don't know why they did that. I'm probably going to pick one up for my wall like I did with the extra gung-ho I have. But yeah, that's the Baroness, and I really like the Baroness, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And with that all being said, Logan out. think I did include it there at the end. That's pretty cool. This looks like what it is by Joe Tape. Let's see, set the stand. I made both of the other stuff for a future giveaway. That's cool. I will always keep collecting helmets. Yeah. All right, I've been attacked cat today. Focusing on getting this done. Pretty cool. Got Joe to be off arm. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, I haven't run it yet. Super quiet today. Don't worry about it, Ari. No big deal. Glad you guys were all still here with me. There is something else I did want to show you guys. I'm going to stop sharing this because that was it. So let me go turn that off over there. And I'll just go ahead and close that out since we're done with that. I said I do have that bonus figure all out of the package. And she came with everything black, even the pistols. And she came with 2 rifles. It was kind of cool. If I can get that rifle on there. And they peg into her back right under her hair, but not very well because the hair kind of gets in the way. And yeah, her glasses do come off, but I'm not taking them off. And it does have this little hole in the side of her head. It's kind of weird, but there she is. And I did take quite a few pics of her with the coil cycle, but only one of them really turned out well. So I'm going to show you that right now. And let's see what you guys think. I thought it was really neat to put her and Destro together like that with all the Cobras in the background. I did have a lot of fun taking pictures when I first got my classified. And it's one of the things that inspired me to do Joe Takes was the classified series. So I am definitely loyal to the classified series line, and I hope they do really good things with it. They have so far. I'm not disappointed. Put her back over here where she goes over here next to Destro. I got Destro, Gung-Ho, Lady J up here. I already showed you Gung-Ho. A couple other things. I got some stuff working on for the Copperhead video. I've got some my moccasin boat out here, so I'll be showing that off on Joe Takes this week. And for the Hawk video coming up, which I'll be doing the on Joe Takes for Hawk and Fridays from the Hill tomorrow night. I actually have acquired the original Hawk, and I have the MMS, so now I've got the whole thing together, and I will be checking those out for that video. And apparently Luna wants to make a cameo, but she's not going to show up unless I pick her up. She's running away. She's getting some food. So that was her big cameo. Anyway, that's what I got for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at these old Joe Takes that with me. I put a lot of heart and effort into this series, and I haven't missed a week of Joe Takes except for a couple right near Christmas time, a couple of weeks. We will be taking a break here in a few weeks at the end of March and April. Then when I come back, I'm only going to be doing Joe Takes once a month for a little while. But I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't want to stress myself out too much. And that's where we're at with it. But at some point, I do have some big plans for Joe Takes 50, and I'm getting pretty close to that. Let's see. Spine Takes is saying, I'm gonna make me look at it. My classified tonight. Yeah. I constantly am looking at my stuff. I got some new stuff out here that I'll probably share on Spine Takes at the end of the month with you when Tiger and I join you if you're willing to have us again. And no, I try not to stress myself out, Bert. So, and with everything that's going on with me and my medication, I'm kind of just still kind of getting used to it, and it's making me really sleepy, but I'm dealing with it, and I'm still rocking with you guys when I'm supposed to be. And I definitely was happy to go check out the detention dance, the Modern Day Breakfast Club detention dance contest. That was a lot of fun. Sorry I missed the ending, but I'll definitely try to catch it in the replay. Let's see. Rue is also inspired. Good, Ray. Love G.I. Joe, and I hope to keep bringing these to you. I will probably do another one of these right before I go on hiatus and do episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12, which I may not because 11 and 12, actually 9 does too. So maybe I'll start it because that starts my. I had a big thing last summer where I had Operation Dungeon Siege, and I actually had skits with it as well, and it was pretty cool. So I will definitely be doing that probably at the end of next month. Another GI Joe GI Joe Takes Classified series, episode 3. So that should be a lot of fun. And let me see. You're welcome, Bert. I appreciate the dance challenge. That was a lot of fun. Ray says, hopefully I had enough beers left to get well and truly hammered. And Spicer says, what is this hiatus you speak of? Well, we had already planned to take some kind of spring break off, and we will definitely be still doing all our games, so those will still continue, but most of our lives will not be taking place. And I might do other things and put videos there for everybody, but we'll see. We'll see how things work out. It seems like I can't stop making videos lately. Bert says, I think that was mentioned in Dante's Inferno. Yeah. Let's see. Dre says 2 or 3 should do it. Yeah, probably, Ray. Let's see. Ray says, I got your hiatus right here. Yeah. Well, when you're your own boss, you can take your own vacations when you want. And you'll take 2, Ray. That's funny, Bert. See, Phil. Hey, Phil, how you doing? You went on hiatus once, still haven't come back. No, I'll definitely be back. I enjoy doing this too much, guys. I love making my Joe Takes. I love Fridays from the Hill. I love doing our live games. I love our reviews. It's a lot of fun for me. I'm just having fun with it. And yeah, if it starts making me money, great. But if not, I'm still going to be doing this. This is awesome. Let's see. Sis says, still in the ladies' soccer locker room. That's probably true. Bill's hiatal treehouse. Okay. Nice to see you, Phil. Thanks for joining me right here at the end. I hope you were here or saw some of it at least. And you can check it out in the replay. I had lost a lot of these videos when I switched computers, and I had an incident with a bit of memory, external memory that just lost a lot of my videos. So this is kind of my way of getting some of them back. So there it is, that. But it's also turning out to be very fun. And Phil says he can't seem to find his way out of that locker room. I get you. We're your boss. Hello? Yeah, that's kind of true, Kate. Yes, that is kind of true. Let's see. Why are you running? I mean, yelling, Logan? Am I yelling? If I'm yelling, I'm sorry. See, I tried vertical live streaming to the shorts feed today on an alt channel. Yeah, I'm just sticking with the one channel. I have a hard time keeping track of this. Let's see. Write him up, Kate. Okay, Ray. How did it go, Sid? Okay. Yeah, how did it go? No new people, but found out some stuff. Okay. Well, I hope that works out for you, bud. I know you're doing a lot of that cool stuff. And I check out some of those other channels as best I can, but I don't even know half of your channel. I know you got the other Sith Lordly channel and stuff, and that's pretty cool. Let's see. Phil Street says, Lil, I thought you said hentai. Let's see. Ha, Phil. See, Bert says, interesting. I might try it out one day. That's cool. Like I said, I definitely hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm just going to go ahead and run my intro for you guys to end this this Joe Takes Classics, because I'm really proud of it, and I'm probably being narcissistic and silly, but that's just how I roll. Let's see. I have the other channels to take a break from the noise. Yep, there you go, bud. And that's what I got to do every once in a while. I just got to take a break from the noise. So about once every 6 months, the Tiger and I and Jake's doing his own thing, and Red's doing his own thing. But definitely Tiger and I will be taking a break. So, but that's not till the end of March. So we got some more stuff coming for you. So right before Easter. So the last Saturday, we'll still be able to go on Spine Ticks, and we'll still be doing stuff like that. I'll be visiting lives and stuff, doing the best I can to keep in touch with everybody. But I also might have some doctor's appointments and stuff I got to get to. Hello, GM Cody. Congrats on 500 subs, sir. I noticed that today. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm about ready to take off here, but like I said, I hope you enjoyed my Joe Takes Classics and my top 10 Joes and Cobras at the beginning. That was some pretty cool episodes. I probably should have done those first, like I said, but That's how it works. Let's see. Hey, Spiketix. Ray says, that's a James Brown lyric. It sure is. Everybody saying hi to Cody. That's cool. And yes, definitely congrats on the 500. I keep playing around between 460 and 470. It just keeps going up and down right now, and I'm having a weird time with it. And you are welcome, sir. And it's well deserved. And I can't wait to join you Sunday for another session at AD&D. That should be a lot of fun. And thanks for being my DM. It's awesome. And on that note, so I'll sign off by, like I said, playing the intro and maybe chat a bit. But
Your day